everybody. How's it going? Lord Josh here once again. As I was just outside on my 7-star altar this morning, I was doing my regular Tai Chi routine, and as I was doing it, unintentionally a huge bolt of lightning just struck the top of one of the very tall trees in my garden. And I tell you, that is better than any morning coffee. But I'm not going to talk about weather magic today, actually. I want to discuss something that's quite the departure from my regular usual subjects. Baneful curses and real dark black magic. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Isn't Lord Josh a Taoist? Doesn't he follow the middle path? Why is he going to such extremes of left or right? And that is true. However, this isn't so much as a curse as it is an illusion. It's made to resemble a curse, but it doesn't carry the same level of karmic debt that one would get from using a real authentic curse. So this is all about intimidation. This is all about getting into your victim's head. But you're not actually attacking. You're not planting any seeds of thought into that person's mind. You're exploiting, magnifying, and intensifying their already existing fears and insecurities. So think about it like this. If somebody hacks into your mind and they see all of what you're afraid of, I think fears are like caged animals. We as people know how to manage them. But imagine that someone has that key other than ourselves, and they unlock those animals and now they go wild. And also imagine that when you go into your flow state to do your ritual, you are not only letting those animals out, letting those fears run wild, you also know how to tame them. And you can use them to your advantage. You're in charge, you're giving out the orders, and they will obey and listen to you. Have you ever heard the expression, you are your worst enemy? We all are. So why on earth should I be your enemy when you can be your own, and I'll use that against you? That's all I need to do. I don't need to attack you from my perspective. I just take one look at what you've got in your head buried deep away, and I amplify that tenfold. Sometimes just frightening somebody is a heck of a lot more effective than actually harming them. Because it's better for you as well. Because you're in this position where if you create a dark spell and you send it out, all spells contain the signatures of their creators. And a signature is a way of tracing that spell back to you, retracing the steps, coming back to its original source of creation, which is obviously you. But if you're not creating anything, and you're simply rearranging what's in the mind of the person you're targeting, that's the best way to remain safe for you. In my opinion, I think too many of the left-hand path magicians curse as easy as they breathe, which isn't healthy for you because a lot of the time you're going to be getting that karmic debt, and eventually it's going to add up, and unless you can pay it off, it's going to affect you big time. And I would also say this, that I do not advocate anybody cursing anyone else. I don't think that's a good thing to do, which is why my alternative might appeal to those who are on the right-hand path. The white magicians, the light workers who otherwise wouldn't be able to defend themselves properly. Everybody's entitled to defending themselves against threats. And that's my point. I'm not using this system to target people who haven't already targeted me. It's a way of defending what you've got. So always leave it to the gray magician to try and find solutions to these very controversial topics and try to find a middle ground. It's all about balance, you see. And the reason I say that is because if you're on one extreme or the other, that makes it easier for people like me to take advantage of your position, you see. So if you're on the left-hand path or the right, I instantly know exactly what I should be doing. If I wanted to target a grey arts magician, one of my own kind, I don't think this spell would work. I don't think my version of this spell would work at all, because grey arts magicians don't keep their emotions in cages. They don't keep them bottled up. They're very open about it. So I think if you're targeting someone who is very polarized, this will work extremely well. When you watch a lot of other YouTubers and when they talk about these subjects, all they go on about is causing damage, sickness, and illness to the person that they are trying to destroy, basically. And I'm not talking about that. Fear works a lot better. There's nothing more paralyzing than true fear. Never mind illness, never mind any demons or deities. Use what's already there for you. People overlook that, don't they? So this middle path spell is not about causing damage or harm to the person. It's letting them know that you mean business, that you are not just going to sit around and take it. And that's my whole point. You've got to let other people know that you are powerful, but you don't want to actually destroy them in the process. There's a fine line there between being honorable with your darker arts, which I think so many people have just left that behind. There is always honor in conflict. And the reason I say that, and why it's so important to be honorable and to be reverent, because there are always three parties involved in curses and black magic. You, your opponent or your enemy, and the universe. And the universe is the final judge of who gets the last laugh. And if someone ever tells you that the best way to curse somebody is to get emotional about it, oh no, that's very incorrect. The one who is emotional should be the one who is receiving the spell, not the one who is giving it. So remember that. You should be as calm as a placid river. Never let anybody get to you in terms of spiritual attack, because when they do, well, you are then their servant, you see. And I use the river analogy very purposefully. Rivers often conceal themselves at the bottom. You don't know their depth. You can't read them. They are not obvious until you take a swim, and it might be too late. Remember that. So don't be too predictable like a shallow pond and wear your emotions on your sleeve so that others can take advantage of that. And believe me, a lot of malevolent people do. And the same goes for the right-hand path light workers. Don't just think that simply because you have a protective deity watching you or an angelic entity that guides you that you're immune to curses. It doesn't work like that. It's like having a locked door on your house. If the burglar or the criminal wants to get in, they will still get in. They'll find a way. And if there's someone out there that's determined to ruin your plans and your day, they will. So don't just assume, hey, I've got my talismans, I've got my deity watching me, I'm fine. No, you've got to look after yourself. And that isn't to say that there aren't some super powerful talismans out there that really do protect you and that really do prevent bad luck and black sorcery from affecting you. It's true. I happen to own a lot of the really powerful talismans from the Taoist origin, and they are super effective. But the problem is, if you don't know what you're doing with them, if you're clueless, it's like giving somebody a big gun. How are they going to use it? They haven't even trained for it. So you have to keep in mind, experience counts. On the subject of self-discipline and keeping your emotions in check, I'm going to read to you a couple of fascinating quotes by Master Zhuge Liang. You're going to enjoy these. Those who are skilled in combat do not become angered. Those who are skilled at winning do not become afraid. Thus the wise win before they fight, while the ignorant fight to win. Isn't that beautiful? So while the malevolent practitioners out there are all fighting each other, they're destroying one another. You often hear the expression, fight fire with fire. Well, why? Why would you want to do that? You're going to cause more devastation to everything. Washing away blood with more blood does not clean the slate. And that's why I think too many people are gung-ho with their magic. Sometimes, if the situation is hot, you want to cool it. That's what I believe. And that's where my illusory spell takes its rightful place. You're not contributing to the chaos. You're harmonizing the situation. You're protecting yourself. You're scaring the other person away, but you're not actually causing damage to them. So what's it like for the person who's experiencing the spell that you've put out? Now this can vary greatly, because all illusions are the distortions of reality, and they're based on the fears of that individual. So let's say, for example, if you are arachnophobic and you're frightened of spiders, I could take the tiniest spider, put a big magnifying glass over it, and it will become a giant tarantula. And that's essentially what you're doing in that person's head. What might appear to be small and insignificant, almost meaningless, if you know how to really take advantage of it, you can blow it up into something huge and very frightening. It's an illusion, yes, but it evokes real fear into their hearts. A lot of my viewers might not even know this, but it's incredible how well I understand illusory magic. It's one of my expert fields. And of course, illusions work best when you don't tell people what you're doing. But that's indeed one of my greatest strengths as an occultist, is just to use the ability of the power of persuasion, the power of suggestion. And if that doesn't work, of course it helps to know the real stuff, which I do know as well. So you're completely changing the way they perceive reality and the world. And you might be asking, have I done this? Do I know if it works? Yes. About a year ago, I did this exact spell, and it was the first time I ever did it, and a pure experiment, but it worked wonderfully. So yes, it's very possible. So I would say this in conclusion. It's never a good thing to go out there and harm somebody, or even to frighten them, but if they leave you no choice, and they are bothering you and harassing you, and they're attempting to hex you or curse you, you've got to do something about it. But as I said before, if the situation is hot, cool it. If you can't cool it, then you can go all gung-ho if you need to. Trust me, I've got real, legitimate Taoist curses that I could implement, that I could use at any time, that really would do significant damage. But I'm really not that type of person. I'm very balanced, as I said. So thank you for watching, everybody. Take care. I'll be back soon.